everyone. So I have a jam-packed video for you today. I hope you have a pen and paper handy to jot some things down, some things you may have heard, some things maybe new, or maybe all new, but hopefully you find something helpful in here because there's a lot of good stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive right in. I have a 10-point step-by-step guide to social media for small business owners. The first step in this guide is to identify your core business function or your core service or your core products. This will really help you to direct the right customers to that particular service or product. Take some time to identify those core products and offers. The step number 2 is to make sure you know your customer. And I know you've heard this before. If you've done a business plan for your business, whatever the case may be, been around any kind of marketing, I know you've heard this. But I wanted to share with you a really cool tool that could be really helpful in this process as you help to narrow it down. And it does change over time. And if you haven't done it in a while, it's a good thing to do again. So there's a website on HubSpot, which I will share the link below, about creating what's called a buyer persona. And there's a guide you can print off that's really helpful that I recommend flipping through and reading. And then there's a really neat tool on their site that walks you through a series of questions to help you build your own buyer persona for whatever service or product or offer that you are trying to market. So that is a really neat tool. And like I said, I'll drop the link below. And the third step is to complete a SWOT analysis. And I don't mean SWAT like guns blazing, SWOT like as an SWOT. And again, if you've ever been around any sort of marketing campaigns or in any marketing capacity, you've probably heard this term, but it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this is a really good practice to get into doing on a regular basis. I would recommend doing it quarterly, because new opportunities always arise. Sometimes new threats arise that you need to be aware of and know how to deal with. It's always good to review what your strengths are and keep your mindset right and really build on those strengths that you have. So again, this is a really good practice to get into, especially before launching any sort of social media or marketing campaign. Step number 4. So once you determine the answers to steps 1 through 3, you can then go ahead and figure out what the best platforms are where you should have a presence to reach your ideal customer and target audience. And there's so many. I would say Facebook's probably a good bet. There's nearly 3 billion users on Facebook, so more than likely your customers are going to be there. So that's probably a good bet. And then as for the others, you could go LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. There's, they're endless. So you want to look at the demographics of the individual platforms and take the information that you've garnered from steps 1 through 3 to determine which platforms to launch on. And I would recommend really just 2. I would stick with 2 for starting. Otherwise, it just gets too overwhelming and you won't be consistent and then it won't be helpful. So that's my recommendation for that. And then step 5 in the process is to then optimize the profile and bio on those platforms that you've selected and determined to be the best. And there are lots of tools out there to help you be able to do this. You can Google it, search it up. There's tons of information out there for you. And I'll probably be doing another video on this as well. But in the meantime, that's something that's an action step that you can take pretty quickly, whether or not you have. If you're on a platform already, I highly recommend optimizing your bio, profile, or page. Step number 6 is doing some competitive research. So you want to, check out, see what your competitors are doing. It will spark ideas, inspiration. Never steal. I want to mention it. Just want to be transparent about that. And then the other thing is that it also could provide a great opportunity for collaboration. Collaboration amongst people in the industry can really help you get a wider reach for both of you. So that is also something that you should really consider. And then step 7 in the process is you want to establish what are called content pillars. So content pillars are basically categories or buckets of information that all of your content will fall under. You want to make sure you're tackling some sort of education and value, providing that for your followers. Entertainment is also, you want to make sure that you're providing some sort of entertainment for them, or inspiration is always good too. There's a buzzword called edutain, which is a really great thing to try to accomplish now, to try to achieve in social media. But if your pillars are aligned, you'll consistently keep your followers and be engaging. And this is also a great way to tell the story about your business and your background, and then focus on your services. It's kind of a little bit of everything, and making sure that you're doing everything consistently. So that's step 7. And then step 8 is in order to increase those conversions, you want to integrate an email marketing system into your website and your social media. And then this way you can create a consistent lead gen program through your email nurturing to then convert those followers and likers into eventual customers. And so you want to make sure you're integrating an email campaign into that. And then step number 9 is to finally begin creating content. So it's funny because you think you just throw some content up and the buyers, the followers will just come. And it doesn't work like that. There's a lot of steps ahead of actually creating that content that need to be done first. So when you begin to create content, you want to keep that buyer persona in mind. You want to keep your content pillars in mind. And you want to also keep your SMART goals in line. Here's another acronym for you. So we had SWOT, now we have SMART. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. And you want to make sure you keep all those things in mind as you begin to create your content, and make sure that there's a purpose to every post and that it does fall within your content pillars. So just make sure that you are keeping your SMART goals in mind when you create your content. Number 10 is you want to engage then. Once you start putting all this content out there, you want to make sure that you are responding to any comments, any and all comments. You are responding to any DMs that you might get, direct message. And then you also want to employ the $80 strategy, which is a great method to begin to outreach to the wider audience and start to bring followers to your page. And I talk about that in one of my other videos, which I'll post as well. So that's step 10. And then step 11 is to then take stock. You want to measure and adjust, I would say, on a monthly basis. Look at your insights, look at your analytics, figure out what's working and what's not, what posts have gotten a lot of engagement, what posts have done really well, what have gotten the most views, and so on and so forth. And then you can start to build your content more on what is working well and maybe improve the ones that aren't. So that's it in a nutshell. Those are, and I gave you a bonus step too. I said 10 and I actually talked about 11. So there was a bonus step in there too. So I appreciate you watching. If you found this helpful, please subscribe. I will continue to post helpful advice and action steps on my channel. And if you could share it with somebody that you think might find it helpful, and again, subscribe and I would be so appreciative. Thanks so much. Have a great week. See you next week.